What I'm about to tell you sounds impossible, and I know how unbelievable it might sound coming from a stranger. If someone had told me this story years ago, I would have probably assumed they were half asleep, or that their mind filled in the blanks. I've never been the kind of person who goes looking for supernatural experiences. I'm a mom. I believe in routines, logic, and normal explanations. But some moments don't care what you believe. Some moments happen so clearly, so sharply, that even years later, you can remember the smallest details. The lighting in the room, the exact sounds, the heaviness in the air, and the way your heart reacts before your brain can catch up. This is one of those moments. This happened about 7 or 8 years ago. My husband and I were lying in bed late one night, watching television. Nothing strange, nothing creepy. Our bedroom door was cracked open the way it always was, just enough so we could hear our son Connor if he woke up and needed us. Connor was our only child at the time. He was around 5 years old, and he was a great sleeper. He almost never came into our room at night. That's why, when I noticed movement in the doorway out of the corner of my eye, I didn't panic. I just assumed it was him. I saw a small figure standing there, half in shadow, like a child waiting for the perfect moment to jump out and scare their parents. Connor loved little jokes like that, so I nudged my husband gently and whispered, "Hey, SHHHH. Look, I think Connor is about to try to scare us." My husband turned his head toward the door, and the moment we both looked, something felt wrong. The figure didn't move like Connor. Connor would have giggled or shifted his feet. He could never stand perfectly still for long. But this child didn't fidget. He stood there quietly, watching. Then he stepped into the room, and the second he moved into the light from the TV, I felt it, a change in the air. It's hard to explain, but it was like the room got heavier. Like time slowed down by just enough to make my skin prickle. The child toddled forward, not walked, toddled. That wobbly, unsteady walk that toddlers have when they're still learning balance. His head was tilted slightly back, the way toddlers do when they're looking up at the world, and his hair was curly, soft curls that bounced as he moved. My mind tried to force it to make sense. I wanted it to be Connor, but Connor didn't have curls. Connor never had curls, and Connor wasn't in diapers, because then I heard it. The soft, crinkling, squishing sound of a diaper. Any parent knows that sound. It's so distinct that it's almost impossible to mistake. That diaper noise filled the quiet space between the TV and our breathing. The toddler walked all the way to the foot of our bed, right up to the edge. He didn't look around the room. He didn't smile. He didn't speak. He simply stood there in silence, like he belonged. My husband and I were frozen. We weren't even blinking normally. We just stared. In my head, a delayed thought finally formed like ice water spreading through my veins. That is not our son. Not even close. Then the child lowered his head, almost like he was crouching, like he was about to hide. And And at the exact same moment, both my husband and I sat up quickly, leaning forward to look over the edge of the bed. And he was gone, just gone. No footsteps, no running away, no tiny hands on the mattress, no sound at all. 1 second, he was there, real enough that I heard his diaper, and the next second, the space was empty. For a moment, neither of us spoke. We just stared at each other, trying to process what we'd seen. Finally, I whispered, "Did we just see a ghost?" My husband didn't answer right away. He kept staring at the spot where the toddler had been. Then, very quietly, he said, "I don't know, but I saw him too." That's what made it real. If it had only been me, I could have convinced myself it was a trick of light, a dream, or my imagination. But my husband saw it, every detail. The curls, the toddler walk, the diaper, the way he vanished. Then, for reasons I can't explain, I laughed nervously. Not because it was funny, but because my mind didn't know what else to do. I said, "Well, if we ever have another baby, and he has curls like that, then I guess we'll know he was here before he was born." We weren't planning another baby. We weren't trying. Connor felt like enough, so it came out as a strange joke, something to break the tension. But I couldn't shake that image of those curls. We got out of bed and walked quickly to Connor's room. We had to check. We had to be sure. And there, he was fast asleep. He hadn't moved. He hadn't gotten up. He'd been there the whole time. So who had we just seen? Months passed. Life continued. The memory faded into something we'd talk about occasionally, always ending in confusion. Then, a few months later, I found out I was pregnant. It was a complete surprise. I remember staring at the test, feeling my stomach drop. We weren't trying. We were careful. But the 2 lines were undeniable. I was going to have another baby. When I told my husband, he looked shocked, then happy. And then he gave me a strange look. He didn't even need to finish his sentence before I knew what he was thinking. The child in the doorway, the toddler with the curls. Could it have been our future baby? 9 months later, I gave birth to a beautiful, healthy boy. We named him Liam. At first, he was just a baby. Normal, perfect. But I watched him closely as he grew, and when his hair started coming in, I held my breath. Around his first birthday, the curls appeared. Soft, bouncing curls, exactly like the curls I remembered. By the time Liam was 2 years old, he toddled into our bedroom one night, head tilted slightly back, curls bouncing, the same toddler walk, the same presence, and it hit me like a bucket of ice water. Oh my God, this is him. This is the child we saw. It wasn't a resemblance I was forcing. It was certainty, deep certainty. I looked at my husband, and I could see it in his eyes too. We didn't even have to speak, and it didn't end there. Whenever Liam stayed overnight at my mom's house, I would dream of him, but not like normal dreams. These felt like visits. One time I dreamed he came into my room, smiled at me, wearing a little red shirt. His curls were cut short. The next day, I went to pick him up. His hair was freshly cut, and he was wearing that exact red shirt. I asked my mom if he wore it the day before. She said yes, and that he insisted on wearing it again. When I asked Liam quietly if he came to see me in my dream, he looked at me with those big, serious blue eyes and nodded. Maybe people will say it's coincidence. Maybe it's imagination. But my husband saw the first visit too. And the details have been too precise, too many times. I don't know how to explain it. I just know I would recognize those curls anywhere.